Well, today on Tech Spaces, we will be talking about the ethics of AI. 3 weeks ago, we had the pleasure of having two young ladies here talk about tech because there was a question that was posed on Shots Fired as to whether an individual would like for a robot to have surgery on them or they would rather a doctor with flesh and blood in their veins. Yes. And so it now made us think about who would be held accountable if a robot decides to make a mistake in the ER. No, not that, in the OR, the operating room. I've been watching a lot of. Yes. I love it. In the OR, and something happens. Who will be held responsible? Hence, we began to think about the ethics. What are the things that are put in place to ensure that these things don't go wrong? And if it goes wrong, who are we holding by the collar,
neck, head?
It's important.
So, yes, talk to us.
All right. Thank you very much for having me here again. Just that I woke up a little bit troubled.
How so?
Well, we'll talk about that maybe during the course of this because it's not. I don't think it's a mistake that I'm going to be talking about AI ethics right now. Because it's beginning to get to me.
We're working in the spirit,
right? That I think you guys talked about an AI that unalived someone. That
it was a young man that a young man that said was in love with.
Nigerian students also told that lane. In fact,
Nigerian students.
Yes,
because this happened in the US.
Wait, you're rushing us.
Right,
Wait, hold on. Dial back. Did you just say that just like the unalived young man on I think it was in America.
Yeah, in America.
That was talking to AI and she told him to unalive himself and he did.
Yeah.
Were there dangers of having that with our children
in Nigeria?
Yes. Actually, one of my students is actually on a platform like that. Just yesterday, one of my trainers reached out to me. We'll talk about that. I'll read out everything that happened.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead first.
Go ahead now.
Talk about
leave that one first. This is more important.
Because this is a live
situation.
This is the real life.
So let's start from there. I would get into that.
Fantastic.
Eventually. So should you hold responsible? Different people at different levels, you would have to hold responsible. First and foremost, there are the AI engineers and developers that are responsible for having sound codes, sound algorithms, and then of course sound data, right? Of course, we started with algorithm-centric solutions, but we've moved now to data-centric solutions. What do I mean by that? Which means the quality of the data you have is going to actually tell on how well the AI is going to work. No longer the quality of the algorithm. Right, so there's the AI engineer and the developers, those at one angle, right? Then there are the big guys, the big tech guys, those who own semiconductors, those who own AI infrastructure like OpenAI, Gemini, and the likes, right?
Right.
Then there are those who own cloud solutions, services like Azure, AWS, GCP, and the likes. This set of guys also control to a large extent how these things work, right? Because of course, the owners of the AI, for example, an LLM like OpenAI, right? The owners of that algorithm, which we leverage upon in Africa, for example, to work. If you can see my face, you see I'm not happy about that because we're still leveraging on whatever they've built to build upon, right?
Why is that so?
Because we don't have the infrastructure. I just got to hear, I was with an older brother of mine who happened to play older brother from another mother, actually, Victor Falabi, who happened to be a very big player in the tech space, right? As an investor, got a couple of investments under his portfolio, AI and fintech and likes.
Yeah.
Right. So we were discussing, and he was telling me about how the fact that Lagos has just for the first time launched our own cloud solution service for the first time. So I think kudos to the Lagos State government, right? And they are doing a couple of other things. He was sharing with me because it belongs to the Council of I think Council of Technology. There's a name they call it for.
Yeah, as long as you didn't call it Council of Elders, but okay.
So he was telling me about all of those development that are coming up, and I'm quite excited that at least I'm alive and in Lagos at this time. I think I'm going to benefit from it.
I was going to say you better jump on it. We got to hear about it here.
Yeah. So that's why we don't have those things, because for you to run a cloud solution service or an AI service, you have to have a couple of things. I don't want to go into that nitty-gritty.
Okay, so
right, I know you just want to hear about the child.
You know what? We are going to hear
about it.
Let's take a break. When we come back, you're starting with the child, or else we'll fight.
Super FM 92.7. In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead of the curve is crucial. Are you ready to connect with the latest in business and economics? Tune in to the Business
Family One Radio. And Harry Singer started off with talking about who to hold responsible, from the developers to the engineers to those that have the algorithm. See, there's a lot of things
I want to
he's
listen
saying.
to Harrison and this algorithm. I feel like, you know what? I can bench this algorithm for tomorrow because I heard a child and I heard AI. Let's go. Tell us this gist.
All right. So before we go into that aspect, right, quickly, there's GDPR and there's NDPR, depending on what aspect of what part of the world you're in.
Okay.
There's GDPR if you're in, so GDPR is General Data Protection and Regulation.
Okay.
So they actually control using policies and then investigative tools, control
Fantastic.
what happens with your data and all of that. Just so you know, if you don't know, let me put it out there. NDPR policy as at September 2023, if I'm not mistaken, right, states that you have the right to PII. You have the right, if it comes to delete it, and you have the right to tell them what to do with it. And if you act otherwise, you have the right to sue them. Right? Yeah.
I think the Lagos State government is suing. I don't know if it's NCC or I can't remember. I think
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
I
it
saw it in the
yesterday
news,
in the news,
yes.
where we heard that Lagos State government was suing because of data.
Yeah.
Yes,
'Cause,
data breach.
data breach,
Data
and privacy.
breach,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so all of those things, just so you know, many people are not aware of this, but that's why I'm putting it out there. Back to the conversation about the child. So we currently at Resolutics, currently have a cohort for children who want to learn AI. So we have especially guys that have finished their JS3 and guys doing their SS3 are waiting admission. I'm sure you must have seen my post about all of those things.
Yes,
right?
we have.
So in that class, one of the trainers in that class reached out to me yesterday while I was working, and then this is exactly what she said. And whenever any of my trainers, he said, I don't want to do this, but I believe God made me see it for a reason. And this is because there's a culture within my organization, which of course everybody knows that my business is faith-funded, it is purpose-driven, and it's God-centric.
Right.
So most times we just believe it's all about God. Everything we do is all about God. That's why we believe in impact, right?
Right.
So she reached out to me and said, I can't ignore it. I said, what's that? She sent me a screenshot, asked one of the child to open up, to share his screen. It's a Microsoft Teams class. And when the child shared his screen, the child was showing her the assignment, but she actually now saw the other tabs that were open. And then beside the assignment, as I can see, we are getting into it. Now, I was a little bit confused and said, when I was building something, I wasn't paying attention. My screen and the soft problem smart. I said, not that. And I'm like, oh, what's that then? And she said, I saw these tabs open on his computer. So I did the research and then she sent me a screenshot. I've told my team they're working on something right now. I'll talk about it later on. So I said, this is what she found out. I said, JuicyChat.ai. My mood I'm surprised you said I'm looking sharp because my mood since yesterday, she told me, it has been very
Because for a
disturbing.
child to have access to that is a problem.
Exactly. That's why I told them there's a new project we're working on. I've told them we're going to begin to put out content to help the Nigerian child. Right.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you in quickly to just say what I see on Juicy Chat AI pioneers advanced AI-powered interactive storytelling with secure, innovative NSFW chat experiences and plans exciting enhances features of global users. Just mentioning
that's not
what you
safe
see
for
on the
work.
overview,
NSFW.
but people don't know what that is.
All right, so let's continue.
Yes.
So you said basically it utilizes advanced natural language processing. I've talked about that a lot.
Right.
NLP technology to facilitate engaging and unrestricted conversations.
Unrestricted.
Without
on
filters
the
or
line.
restrictions.
Yeah. So the platform is designed for users seeking a unique and immersive chat experience, offering a safe space to explore and interact with AI characters in ways that are both imaginative and intimate.
That is ridiculous.
Really. So
Intimate?
yeah. So core features of Juicy Chat AI, just let's move a little bit. So it's a diverse range of NSFW AI characters. One, unrestricted and imaginative conversations.
Yes.
Advanced natural language processing, right? Now, benefits of JuicyChat.ai: safe space for exploring fantasies, engaging and interactive chat experiences,
Okay.
privacy and anonymity for users, which means that it's going to be very difficult for you
to even track
what's going
who
on.
has
But
been on there.
then again, this is where I believe parents should begin to become aware.
Yeah.
Because
Of
trust
what
me,
AI is.
Exactly. AI is a tool, is not a toy. We need to get to that point. We need to come to the realization that AI is not going anywhere, no matter how bad it is. For example, if you've noticed, Mark Zuckerberg has been going in and out of the courtroom for several
Yes.
But is Facebook still working?
Absolutely, without issues.
Has he bought other platforms?
Yes.
Is Meta expanding?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Meta even owns Metaverse.
I know, and they have glasses now that you can tell the
Do you
glasses what to
understand?
do.
So there's a lot
Meta-
of things. There's a lot of things coming. So I believe at this point, parents should be very close to their children and monitor everything. Although there are technicalities you need to look into, right? You can check the log. Even when the child deletes whatever thing he's doing, you can check the log performance of that child and bring it back and see what has happened over time. But then again, you as a parent have to be knowledgeable to understand what is even happening. Do you understand? So this is not a point where you say it is them.
It's
whatever
AI,
you
it's
understand?
the
No, you have
system.
to
Understand
get
those things they are
involved.
doing.
You have to get involved. I actually interacted for the very first time during my MSc. I actually interacted with something like that, but that was because we were working on a project, right? And I can imagine. Trust me, I think along the line when I had an accident and I was immobile, I couldn't move for a while. That became like a companion. Now I can imagine the only reason why I could probably control everything is because I even understand the algorithm.
You're knowledgeable about it.
And the infrastructure behind it.
Imagine a
child who doesn't
child.
even know what he's doing. He believes that he's going to. I was telling someone, he says he's going to mess with his own mindset, and trust me, it's going to, right? Because just like it's almost like saying you're training an AI. The human brain works just like how you're training an AI,
Yes.
right? Because for example, if I'm using reinforced learning to train an AI, it starts it starts learning first from the data I gave to it.
Yes.
And along the line, if you notice, when OpenAI created ChatGPT, right, the first version of ChatGPT was, I think it was 2.0. That's the first one that came public. After
Yes,
the MVP,
2.0,
it was
then we
2.0,
moved to
right? To 3.0.
3.0
Then now
then.
we have 4.0 Omni, something like that. So now, what I'm trying to say is, when they did the first version, they only had data up until 2022. But the current ChatGPT we have would go into the internet and source of information. That's how your child is.
Yes.
So the scripture says, train up a child in the
Where
way
he
he
should
should go,
go.
and when he grows, he will
He will
not
not
depart from it.
depart
Some of
from
the
it.
things our parents helped us with is what's guiding our thought processes.
That's
today.
true. Very true.
And helping us. For example, I don't keep late nights because, of course, I came from that kind of background.
Right.
And not because I'm scared or something, but once I'm
It's
not
just not you.
Yeah.
not close to my proximity, I'm always worried. I'm not worried. I'm like, I need
You
to
just
be
get home. Yes.
Do you understand? So
Yeah,
that
also
kind
a
of-
geek, but that's not the point.
But then now imagine a child who
No.
has been trained by AI.
You understand? So what
Yes,
happens
that is wild.
eventually, while you're training your child, you're giving them data. Eventually, this child is going to go
access
and
to
learn.
data,
Like,
and
just
that's
like the AI will go to the internet to learn on his own, this child is going to go out, interact with other people, and then interact with AI.
And everything is available outside there.
It's literally here. Like nobody even knows that
Literally.
Juicy AI was a thing.
I would never have
literally am
known
just finding that
that.
out.
So yeah,
And NSFW, not safe for work. If you don't remember anything as a parent, please remember. If you see anything that has an NSW there, NSFW, not safe for work, you might want to take a double back especially where a kid is involved.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. So by God's grace, I've actually instructed my team. We're going to be putting out a lot because it's beginning to become worrisome. Because before now, because it had not happened to me directly, I had not seen someone of that close proximity. I took, it's going to survive. It's just going to be in the same climb. But not until when she sent me this. Trust me, I've been traumatized since that time.
So
Have you
what
had
did you guys do?
have a conversation with him?
Exactly what I was
I'm going
thinking.
to have a conversation with his dad, and I'm
Right.
going to also have a conversation with every single parent who drop their children to learn with us.
And find
But
out
we
how
need
deep
to-
he has gone into it.
Definitely, he's going to definitely.
Because
I'm going to have
that is
conversations with
really
all of us.
important.
Because I'm thinking about how best to have a conversation with him so that he feels safe to come to you tomorrow. That is so vital. And then the conversation with his parents, they must know that the last thing they want to do is flog him.
No. Even if you do that, you're making things worse.
Worse.
Exactly, because this
Because-
is an
because
intimate
it's-
AI. He can go
it's
back
going
and
to-
say, "My dad flogged me. What should I do?"
And a lot of parents
Yes.
listen.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
This
It's
studio has
shocking.
just become uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because again, these things are happening. I see Dr. Kona saying this is worrying. NSFW noted.
Noted. Yes,
It's
please.
important that we know what our kids are engaging in. So I love the fact that you say, parents, you need to know the internet. You need
Yeah.
to understand AI to at least a point,
Yeah.
so that you can keep an eye on your child.
Kids, and once you see something worrying, you can just alert whoever.
But listen, the last thing you want to do, and I'm saying this again, so important, is to lash out on the child.
Scold.
If
Nah.
you do that, you have just cut off any connection you want to have with that child telling you something tomorrow. Because that's another thing that's a down part of how we grew up. We grew up with a reprimand that was and
Spare the
they
rod,
just
spoil the
say,
child.
stop it, end of story. There's no why. And I was that
Yeah.
child that always said, why?
Yeah.
Nobody tells me why. They just punish me, and then I did. So tomorrow
Did it make you a
I will
better
just
person?
I will sneak and do it again.
I'm talking about those things
No.
growing up now.
Exactly.
Knowing what you know now.
Knowing what I know now, I know that
I should
I'm
have known
very
the why.
particular.
Yeah.
Even when I'm dealing with adults, when I say, "Oh, we can't do that," I don't leave it there. I say why we can't do that, because we are all thinking human beings, and thinking human beings working with AI is like it's a recipe for the disaster in the wrong direction. It is.
I mean, Harrison, thank you so much for bringing this to our notice, because a lot of parents out there may think, "Oh, AI is for the younglings." See, you have to be aware, because your kids are on the line, their lives are on the line at this point.
We need to get you to come back and talk to, now, years ago, when children started getting access to the internet, they'd say, we just block it somewhere. The adults would say, "I just, block, there's only so much access you can have." But now, children are they're
smart.
they're so smart.
They have
they're
ways to manipulate it.
circumventing those things. I've heard of parents who'd say, I because one of those days I was awake, I noticed that from his phone, he unlocked unlocked the access that I blocked him out of from my phone in the room. Something about the phone blinking, and then she turned and looked, and then she observed and noticed that he has access. Middle of the night. What's
How?
happening? So we need to come back and talk about some of the things that you can do to extra protect your children, to make sure that when you lock them out, they stay locked out.
And the way to go is not shutting them out completely.
No.
Because there's the thing where, I'm not going to have access to your phones or this. See, they can find access. They go to their friend's house and they can sit down there with their friends' phones and do what they need to do.
Just because you are a good parent and you keep an extra eye doesn't mean the next parent is going to keep an extra eye. Dr. Kona says you get children to listen more when you help them understand the why.
Absolutely.
Try explaining before spanking.
spanking.
Help them understand why the internet can be a dangerous place. Because right now, the internet is their happy place. It's their playground. It's their hub. So how do we get them to say,
play games,
"Oh, no, you can stay on the internet and you can have your good time, but with caution and boundaries, and these are the reasons why."
All right.
Okay.
So if eventually you guys are now the guests.
because you don't understand how freaked out I have been.
Yeah.
Just
so in order
think
to
about
solve,
it.
In order to solve this problem, because immediately after she told me, I'd spoken. Right after that, I had a meeting with the closest technical team members.
Yeah.
So we are looking at, we're pivoting because, we are building AI agents right now, right? But I'm saying, first and foremost, like I said, our business is purpose-driven, faith-funded, and God-centric, right? So first things first is our responsibility to humanity, right? So I've not told them we are going to be churning out content as to how to, as a child, how to leverage AI for social good. Rather than for devices, right?
Right.
And apart from that, we're also going to be putting out contents for adults and parents to teach them on how to actually talk to your child. So our place now becomes like the safe. That's what we're going to create, like a safe space for children and for parents. So I would actually advise that they bring their children to listen and watch whatever contents we're going to be putting out from.
Fantastic.
As a double, like I said, you will come back and teach us a few how-tos here.
Sure.
Before, so for parents whose children want to get on board learning AI, they're safe with you and your team. So you'll talk to us about how-tos for parents, and maybe we'll see if you can be on the weekend Saturday, the Sophie's the children's show,
yes,
to get
as well.
talk to children about also safety.
All right.
Because that's important. Well,
Harrison
Harrison
Yakubu,
Yakubu,
if you
thank
didn't
you
come
so
today,
much.
I'd have been so upset.
I know. Because this is
every other thing. I mean, the ethics we're talking about starts from the kids.
right, because if our kids are not safe,
But the
Actually, it's
ethics
their
also
generation.
is
yes, it's their
Their
generation.
Well,
Well,
last week we talked about last time I was here we talked about biocomputing. Of course, they are the ones
and how
that
the
are going to
nerves and the
experience-
brains have not been added to robotics. I see.
So imagine we've
It's
not
a
got
lot.
to that point and a lot of damage is already
It's already
happening,
being done.
right? So we just, by God's grace, we are going to try our best to try to mitigate most of these excesses.
I think it's important for us to say that one of the reasons it seems like we're shaking in the studio today is because this asset. Remember what he said. Number one, for this particular site, there are no restrictions, no filters. They can express themselves
Intimate.
freely. So and it becomes explicit.
And there's no
Intimate.
access
There is
to
no-
it because it's private.
And you can't even get back as a regular person
No
that's
worry,
not
we'll sort that
a
out.
tech. You can't even go and check, what the child
history
has
has
been.
been.
doing.
Anyway, we'll
and
talk
this
about
is-
all of those things.
And this
How
is
to check the
there,
log.
but then again, we started with the conversation about the young boy. So if you don't know, there was a 7-year-old. I think it was 7-year-old.
7 or he was 9 years
7
old.
or 9, okay. 9-year-old boy that went on a certain chat and was chatting with the AI and, basically fell in love with AI. And AI told him that to be with her, he had to unalive himself. And basically the kid ended up unaliving himself because he wanted to be with his lover at 9. This AI is in front of you. It's at your doorstep. Every child, you go to schools right now, they're teaching computer, they're teaching AI in their little, but this is how it starts. And guess what? There are some children that are already have a knack for the geek, if I put it that way.
Let me even tell you like the crux of the story itself. In the final
Wow.
moments before he took his own life, a 14-year-old boy, Sewell Setzer, took out his phone and messaged the